All right. We're here with mono blue poison. Seems simple enough, right? Mono blue does struggle with things that may have resolved, so hopefully that doesn't happen too much to us, but it probably will. So yeah, we're trying to poison our opponent. We have Prologue and Mirix to do such things, and then we can proliferate with, I think it's just this card as it stands, and yeah, just control the board for a long time. Maybe kill someone with a Hall of the Storm Giants. Counter spells for days. And bring the ending's pretty neat, right? It's a hard counter if we get enough poison counters. But could be kind of hard to do that, right? There's not too many ways to get to the poison. But if we can just harass people until we do and lock them out of actually casting stuff with all these counter spells and, returning things back to hand, drawing cards with Thirst Discovery, I think we can do it. So the sideboard is just a bunch of scattered blue counter spells and stuff. Pithing Needle, obviously, Ashiok for Graveyard, and I don't know, some weird Scape Shift combo that might happen. Fading Hope might want to be in the main, but not every deck has a bunch of creatures. If I see blue-white all the time, I'm not going to like this. Red-white is the one that makes me consider this in the main, but it's just like, as a sideboard option against red-white, prowess, I don't even know what the title, heroic, they target the one creature a bunch of times. I think this is pretty solid against it, right? Just return it back to hand. Instant speed, it's doesn't really answer it, but it at least will probably get a bunch of stuff out of hand, right? That or a bunch of pump spells. So yeah, we'll see how we do. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's go. Let's do it. Okay, short. Yeah, all right. Can't hate it. Let's go. Blind Mirix. Blind Pithy Needle. Can't say that's on the cards here. All right, mono green. Come on, Llanowar Elves. Oh, all right. Thoughtseize. Yeah. If someone takes a second to cast their black spell turn 1, it's probably Thoughtseize. Alright, so Pithing Needle will probably name Cauldron? Witch's Cauldron? Probably. Gonna cycle Censor, obviously. Though I like just making them take the Censor. I am a fan of that. So I don't necessarily feel like I want to cycle it. Okay, I guess I'll just name that, given the situation. I think that's reasonable. Just stop that engine, I guess. It also can't swing at me. Okay, really good top deck counterspell. My deck is all counterspells, so happy to see it. My opponent tried to just put something into play thinking I'd die if it happens. They're not necessarily wrong. This Den of the Bugbear is a problem. Duress. Alright, another main deck Duress deck. Do I thirst? Nah, we're not going to thirst. We're going to make a Mirix token here. And probably a bunch afterwards. If they leave me with 2 counterspells, why am I upset? I don't think Den will kill me by the time that happens, but we'll see. Alright, well that literally doesn't do anything. Let's see, do they have Fatal Push? They do! They have Fatal Push. Alright. I don't really care. Alright, we're exactly where we want to be, which is surprising. Of course, Den of the Bugbear is a problem, though. But it's not a perpetual problem. It's not something I can't, ever answer. I think I'm just gonna do this. It's kind of a good sign my opponent's just racing. This is a game where Pithing Needle, just having multiple copies is good. Why I just at least one to start. Because I could very well just die to this. Pass. Okay. Oh, you already know you can't use them. There you go. Alright. Well, that would have been phenomenal, but of course. This. Brazenbauer is. I mean, we could get rid of the 3-mana counterspell. Alright. I can bounce this Harvester. Okay, so I can bounce that when they plus it, and it will discard. And I guess we just get rid of one of these equations. They can blood token it away, which is funny. They do not. Alright, well, got nothing to do but swing, but again, some problems for us here. This can only block flyers. The immediate 2-turn clock. Yep. Cool. Alright. Do we want Disdainful Stroke? Probably not. Negate, maybe? Negate isn't terrible. No, maybe it is, actually. I think it's the best of the bunch, though. They just hose your opener with a bunch of discard spells anyways. Well, usually, at least. I think this is a game where I will cycle a Censor in response to a discard. I think this actually might be a situation where I do that. Oh, look. A Nothing Matters But Discard Spells matchup. Alright, I'd rather them not see the Hull Breaker. You literally have one choice. There you go. Yep. Field of Ruin is obviously could have saved us against the Den last game. Wow, look at that. Please don't draw a non-creature. Of course I do. Does it matter what lands? I guess field now, just in case, if it becomes relevant this very turn cycle. I guess the bright side is my opponent has no idea I picked a counterspell. Opponent appears to be stuck on lands. I will thirst right now. But it does mean I'm not leaving anything up, but I obviously didn't have anything to leave up. I think they did miss a land drop, but that doesn't stop them from having something to actually play here. A burn spell, like Play with Fire. Something like that. Okay, if I counter it, it just goes to... It doesn't really matter. Just get rid of... actually, this way I don't have to get rid of a counter spell at all, I guess. Okay, I want the Hull. I don't really know if I need the next counter spell. I also kind of expect a Thoughtseize, so the Hull Breaker's not that reliable. That's a slow card draw engine. I think I'll let him have it so I can scry for a land here, and then play Hullbreaker. Okay, those are not lands. Pithing Needle is good though, but I'm obviously looking for lands. Okay, I did find one. Like, if they're spending their entire turn using this, I don't think that beats a Hullbreaker. They did find a land though. Like, yeah, this just doesn't feel a Hullbreaker. They have to reinvest mana to cast it too, because I can bounce it. Yep. Are they just dead? Wait a minute. Can I just fire up the hull and kill them with 14? Well, if they have a Fatal Push... No, because they can't target this. They don't have mana for ward. Yeah, they're just dead. They're literally just dead. Wow. That's insane. I wonder if I want Shark Typhoon. Well, I would never play one. I don't have any big spells. Wow. Okay. That's hilarious. One of Hullbreaker. Kind of crazy. Maybe I want more. More than one copy. Did not expect that. I don't think anything's changing. Maybe change the equation over like one thirst. Yeah, being on the draw isn't terrible here because like I draw an additional card against all the discard spells. I think I'll play Pithing Needle. Well, I mean it depends if they take it or not. There's a completely reasonable argument to taking it. My opponent mindlessly mulligans for discard spells because their deck doesn't do anything but that. I shouldn't say that. I mean, there's still... The deck obviously does things, but it is going to mindlessly mulligan to disrupt my opening hand. I would not be too upset if they took Pithing Needle here, actually. It'd be kind of funny. No, they didn't do it. I don't think I'm going to name anything right now. They could have Bankbuster, or they could not. They have Liliana the Veil as well. It'd be nice to name something that I immediately am aware of. Okay. Well, this plan of my opponent's only goes so far here. One for winning my hand doesn't carte blanche win the game. Just going to run this out. I guess this? Sure. I think I'm going to name the Den of the Bugbear, because that one's a little bit scarier. I wonder if they have Kolagon's Command. I feel like they would just bring that in, right? Shieldred? Wow. Okay. Opponent's keeping in the 4-mana threats. I like it. Against a mono-blue counterspell deck. Nope, can't do that. You gotta fire up the Hive, which is not as scary. Still pretty annoying, though. But if my opponent chose to do this over Castle Lockmane, which is kind of weird. Do I keep this land in hand? I think I do. No. Let's not be ridiculous here. Alright, well, if they spam this man land, I can't possibly be all that upset, right? Yeah, this is I would just be Castle Lockmaning here literally until I was dead. I would never just swing with this 3/3. I don't think that's reasonable. Well, these are both lands. Maybe slightly better than Negate. No. Let's keep the Negate. Okay, so I have a clock of my own. At this point, it's obviously slower than my opponent's, but so be it. Well, I mean, I have, what, 2 more Pithing Needles, 3 Field of Ruins in my deck. Does my opponent still have Fatal Push? Oh, it doesn't look like it. That is a lot of lands. Alright, I'm gonna not let that be a thing. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so we get to keep that. Okay. I think this is a good spot to be in. I think. I mean, that does have Menace, but obviously Hullbreaker kills in the 2 turns. Because Infect, these have Toxic and not Infect. They do have like actual damage. Sure, I'll get rid of Negate. They can almost just cast that, but not quite. Again, I cannot block the Hive. But, let's see, I take 1, 2, 3, and they cast Kroxa, that would be 4, 5, 6. There's no way for me to... Okay, so swing. Is this really going to boil down to that? I guess I needed to scry on my upkeep? I needed to scry on my upkeep. Crap. Shoot. I think this game would have been pretty different if my opponent was using Castle Lockvein earlier. Not gonna lie. Okay, so they get Kroxa this way, but they do not have mana to activate the other thing here. So, if they do just cast Kroxa... Well, they can't return Kroxa because they can't recast it. Okay, that's a little annoying. I think we scry. I don't know if a 1/1 is changing anything at all. Neither of these are helpful. If I find a castable spell, they're dead? Did we actually do it? No way. So I go to 3, and then I bounce the, Wow, I did it. Unbelievable. I just beat black-red with mono-blue nonsense. That's completely unbelievable. That's crazy. I was hoping to hunt down blue-white decks, but wow, that was the first game I played too. Okay, so we took out some stuff, added Hole Breakers in the main, feels good, and Serum Snare, just to get more poison counters once we finally get the first one going. Let's try that. Okay. Impulse. What? Oh, creativity. Right. I got confused. Nice lands? Thank you. This is creativity. Which isn't a bad matchup, I guess. It's not, like, amazing. I don't know. It's kind of slow, but it has, like, a few things that are just, like, really annoying to deal with. Okay, we're gonna Thirst here. Opponent, you're supposed to counter it. What are you doing? Whoa, wait. What do I discard here? Hold on. I guess I discard... I don't want to discard one of my... Okay, so I can... bounce one of these here, like this, and then I can bounce another. That way I don't have to discard if they go for a creativity. Okay, well now they have a Mirrex. They don't really have to do anything. They can kind of just big chill. Oh, this card, dude. Fable and Mirror Breaker's just so devastating. It's like the worst card to see every time I see it. It's just like so annoying. Is there any merit in just proliferating that now? I really don't think so. Don't see what that accomplishes at all. No, it's not like bad, it just doesn't seem particularly great. Okay, so I do have Hole Breakers. If I get to 7 mana, it's not impossible. The opponent got rid of a creativity, that's odd. Maybe they're just completely off of it, which is completely reasonable, honestly. Just don't bother. If you think I'm a mono blue counterspell deck, why would you go for a 4? Is that 4? Yeah, 4 mana card there. Okay, let's do this. I think I'll get rid of Essence Scatter. Doesn't seem good here. What is this, a Spell Pierce? Oh. Big score. Sure, I guess. Okay, I can't really afford to get rid of a land. Kind of need to play those. Let's get rid of Essence Scatter and you? Sure. I really like Thirst. Okay. Well, they have all the tokens in the world. It's just a matter of, like, do they go for it? Another Fable. Oh boy, my favorite card. That's a land. Slow, but it's a land. At least the reflection doesn't really do much in their deck. I think I cast this one. Do I cycle Censor too? Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna end up using it to hit anything spicy. Okay, I found an untapped land. I'd rather like keep it for Thirst, but there's always dead cards to get rid of with Thirst. It's not a big deal. I also have a bunch of basics still. Hullbreaker is hard for them to deal with, so if I can use it to like bounce World Spine Worm somehow. Oh jeez. None of this feels good. Yeah, opponent just completely roped out. Wow. That's kind of crazy. They just completely roped out. They just said, screw it, I'm not playing against mono blue counterspells. I mean, I'll take it. Alright. I'll lead with Castle. For really no reason. Just because it's adorable. Wow, that was a fast have nothing land. Interesting. Abzan, so some kind of company deck. Kethis combo? No, I mean Greasefang, right, Greasefang. This is a very fast player, I like it. I like it. Unfortunately for them, it's pretty difficult to get to the Greasefang, and by pretty difficult I mean basically impossible. But they can definitely threaten me with other things. What is this, some sort of land enchant? What are they doing? Okay. They still have yet to find a vehicle? Okay. Interesting. Let's take an actual counterspell here. Gotta be careful with my basics, maybe. Well, I haven't seen much of a use. Alright, so I do kind of need to counter that. I'll use the soft counter. I'm gonna run out Field of Ruin. No. Okay, so I play you tapped if I aim to Hullbreaker. Hullbreaker's gonna have to put in like stupid work, which might not be possible. I might not ever get to one of those. Okay, look at the top four. Still no vehicle. Wow. Crazy. Well, they have a chariot, right? There's a chariot now, but still kind of crazy. Loses 2 life, and then they mill. Sure. Turn a land to your hand. Okay. I'm going to keep the augury so my Hullbreaker actually has text. I almost think I just let a chariot resolve. Do I? I feel like that's totally fine. I mean, I have a Hullbreaker. Do you have an answer to this? You need it immediately? You do not. Alright, so I'm in a very, 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 very good spot now. Some might say game-winning spot. Shieldred. What? Okay. Greasefang runs Shieldred? Alright. Yep, I just completely annihilated Greasefang. Cool. Can I do it again? So Ashiok is somewhat decent. Pithing Needle's obviously like Omega tier. Change the equations a little weak. Ashiok attacking their graveyard feels decent, but like they can just hardcast stuff, and then this doesn't do anything. It might do stuff in the early game though. What feels pretty sus here? I don't like Censor when there's an army of discard spells. I think I can replace a Censor with an Essence Scatter. Replace... So Tail's End counters all of the vehicles, Shieldred, the Planeswalkers, and Greasefang, so it actually is completely reasonable. I don't even know if I want Ashiok, actually. It's kind of funny. It's actually really funny if I don't want it. Is that the case, though? I think it is. Well, Fading Hope is the only alternative. I think I'm just going to put one in. It's not that bad, but when they have 46 of them. Oh, look. Turn 1 discard. Wow. They should probably take the prologue so I don't have a poison clock. Nope. Oh, they milled a discard spell. Rip skis, I guess. Alright, well, I have a clock with poison if I find myself at that point. Okay, I'll let that resolve. That's fine. Sure, I got the poison on him. Let's play a Mirrex and pass. They did get a vehicle, but there's not much I can do about that. That's kind of annoying. And by kind of, I mean like super annoying, but it doesn't kill me super fast, I guess. Okay, I'm going to want to counter this one. Another Mirrex. I can put 2 counters on them, but it's not super fast. Sure. I'll take that. So I kind of want to play this, but it takes me off of all my colored mana, which feels completely ridiculous and unreasonable. Okay. Alright, I'm more on it right now. Sure, I'll just attack the graveyard now. My opponent has Vanishing Verse? Really? Wow. I was kind of hoping there was an Assassin's Trophy. Yes! Alright! Alright, my opponent's hashtag 420. They're Urion. Horrible matchup. I have a hand that has cards, so I will keep it. Okay. Black-white, huh? Ooh, I've never seen a Restless Fortress before. I love it. I actually really love it. This is really nice. Black-white Urion, huh? Okay. Probably abysmal. Like, absolutely abysmal for us, but I love it. I love it. Right up my alley. How does my opponent build their deck? Trial of Ambition? Whoa, spicy. Alright, well, fortunately it doesn't do anything. Draw some cards, get rid of a basic. Keep our opponent in the dark skis. Do we want Drari, Jabber? I think we just play Hall here. I think that's fine. I am not really scared of this Restless Fortress. They probably have a bunch of answers to my stuff anyways. Doom Foretold. What does that do if I have no permanents? Sacrifices, if they can't discard... They discard, lose 2, you draw, and you make it 2-2. Okay. I think I will counter that. The 2-2 is annoying. Obviously making me discard is annoying. Then drawing is annoying. Let's do that and pass. At least there's not a bunch of discard spells because they're, you know, 80 cards. Yeah, let's not let that be a reality. Whoa, wait, whoa, not casting that. Let's not do that. Alright, play this tapped. Birth of Meletis. Alright, that is above and beyond not scary. You can have your land. That deals damage, but they draw cards. It draws 3. Fine. I'm almost at the point where I want to name Castle so they can't draw. Almost at that point, but this turn cycle, obviously Hullbreaker is looking pretty decent. Maybe. It is a black-white deck, right? Like, they have stuff... They have stuff that pretty well deal with it, so... That's horrendously bad. I cannot answer that. That is horrible. Demonic Pact? Okay. That's not as bad. Don't hate that too much. Another Hullbreaker. Well, that would be good. Let's, Pithing Needle, Castle Lockvein. Sawsome. I can play the other Hullbreaker in response to... I don't know what. Rite of Oblivion. Yeah, let's just tempo him. Maybe I return the one... No, we're just gonna do this. Alright, they still had an answer to one of them, which can't really do anything about. Which they also technically have an answer to the second one too now. Okay. Yep. They need a land. Alright, we win. Awesome. Alright, so black-white nonsense is pretty spooky, scary. Pithing Needle's, like, wishy-washy. Naming lands is not that ideal. They don't have many creatures. Disdainful Stroke is alright. So is Tail's End. Like, just these two. Take out the change equations. Don't feel that great. Not too amazing. Take out... Oh, jeez. I think I still want Pithing Needle. Alright. So I don't even know how many discard spells they run, because it's 80 cards. It's not reasonable to run a ton of discard spells when you're 80 cards. So we'll see. I think, yeah. That is a reasonable one. Although this is probably main deck. The Iron Crag? Okay. It's like a mana rock, which is kind of annoying, but I think that's beatable. Okay. Finding more lands. Yep, you got it. They might have needed this to get a land drop, but I can't confirm that, so it's not... I wouldn't fight over this anyways. I can't imagine that makes sense. Okay, as much as I'd like to discard this basic to Thirst, I can't miss my land drop. Stone Cold Nothing. No land. Ooh, no land. Alright. Good. Okay, my opponent made some 1/1s. You got it. They felt like that was worth doing when I was tapped out, which I don't necessarily agree with, but 1/1s are 1/1s, I guess. I can put the 3 counters on them. Oh wait, no I can't. I lied. Doom Foretold. Can't let that one resolve. So we do it like this. I don't see anything to Pithing Needle. Treacherous Blessing. No, that's not kosher. Okay, well, they're gonna need to leave up removal for my Hullbreaker, which is completely going to happen probably. Enters the battlefield, return target enchantment that isn't a god from your graveyard to your hand. I think at this point it makes sense to run this out because they're tapped out, and I don't care what they play because I have a Hullbreaker Horror, right? I just don't care. I will Pithing Needle Heliod? Rather bounce Heliod. And name... They can sack these, which isn't... I really don't have anything to name here. I guess Castle Lockbane, just because if they draw it at some point, I'd like to not lose to it. We have a shield for an Edict here. They can't just Edict me. Because of the Mirrex. Alright. Okay. Censor is a castable card. It gives me a bounce trigger, so I don't hate it here. My opponent did not Rite of Oblivion. That's weird. Oh, hey, another Hullbreaker. Okay. Sure. An army of cards in the way. Kind of unfortunate. No? Alright, I mean, we're chipping away. It's extremely difficult to beat these Hull Breakers when they can bounce everything. And I have Edict's protection, so... Get schmeeded. We did it. Wow. Unbelievable. I just beat Black-White Urion. Wow. Okay. So yeah, if this had a splash of black, it would definitely go a long way. But it is pretty cool to play a mono blue deck. I just kind of like it, especially it's not like mono blue tempo creature nonsense. The Fading Hopes never panned out, even against the red-white prowess deck that I wanted it to. It just wasn't remotely good enough. And Llanowar Elves and Elvish Mystic, the green ones, just they're always going to have it because they have so many copies of a 1-drop. In fact, every single game I played where someone had an Elvish Mystic in their deck, or Llanowar Elves, they had it turn 1 every game. Like post-sideboard, pre-sideboard, every single elf player had a turn 1 elf. And every single prowess, red-white prowess deck had a turn 1 threat. It just... Fading Hope's not good enough to save you from that. Like, it bounces it, but it's just not nearly enough. So the 1-drops are just going to get under you, and you can't stop them, really. You kind of can, but it's like way later with a Hull Breaker or with the Serum Snare. Like, you bounce it on end step and then like come back around or something. But you do go down cards with that because this doesn't like draw a card. So you're like 2 for 1ing yourself. You bounce it, then you counter it, which isn't good. And some of your counters for 1-drops, like a Censor and Disruption, actually don't work because, you know, it's turn like 4. So when they cast their 1-drop that you've bounced, or even turn 3, they can just recast it through those, and you're just hoping you had a different one. And you're still trying to counter other things at the same time. So it's just the 1-drops. Like I said, if I didn't say it at the beginning of the video, I'm saying it now. It's the 1-drops that are the problem. It is exclusively the 1-drops that make it so you probably cannot play this strategy without at least another color to come back. So like sweepers in black or white, if you're just blue-white again, or black for actual hard removal, or white for hard removal. I'll probably try this again with black. I kind of wanted to try Tasha's Hideous Laughter in here, just as a 4-of, and not be a mill deck, because there are some decks out there that just kind of get milled out completely to like 2 Tashas, right? Like the red-white prowess deck just gets milled out to 2 Tashas and you win. Like, they don't have any mana cost in their cards. You cast the second one and the game's over. I don't think they have 40 mana worth of spells. I mean, there are actually 2-drops, so that might not be true. But I don't know how many. There's like Arcanist, the 10th Legionnaire thing, and then the Connive. So that's like 12. That's 24 right there alone in mana cost. So yeah, probably the second Tasha's would do them in. But I chose not to go that route. I thought it was too far out there. It's also a completely do-nothing card the first time you cast it, especially in a mono blue deck where you can't like tap out for a 3-mana sorcery if you're trying to actually play at instant speed perpetually. But I was a big fan of the Pithing Needle. Shutting down manlands is probably a necessity, specifically for this deck. So I probably want 2 Pithing Needles in the main, just because you can't counter manlands. So when they go into play, they're going to beat you to death unless you stop them with like specifically Serum Snare or Hullbreaker, and obviously that's so few cards. I don't think it's reasonable. I don't think blocking with Hull of the Storm Giants is a reasonable prospect, and Mirix tokens don't block, so it's just like rough. Man lands and one drops, mainly the one drops, but man lands are an incidental issue. I do still like this, you know, apart from that specific problem. I just like this. It's kind of fun to play. Like the games I did win were just kind of cool, and some of the games I lost were pretty neat. Although it kind of just boiled down to the same thing every time, so it's not that interesting to watch after the third time. Me losing the same exact scenario, one drop into three drop that I can barely answer, and then just snowballs because I couldn't stop the elf. The Hull Breakers are cool though. I almost want four of these because every time I had one, it just felt amazing. Every time I got to this, it was great. So maybe three or four, and I have more things to do in the meantime that isn't just an army of counter magic, which again would lead to a second color. And then we're playing something blue black control-y. We can drop like the bounce spells and stuff. Can drop the poison strategy, which I do not believe. I killed. Yes, I killed one person in one game with 10 poison. They scooped before I did it, but they would have died. 2 poison. So it happened once, but it's still not terribly reasonable. So I'll probably take these out for, again, just something else. I don't know. But it was still pretty fun to play. I would say it was fun to play. It's pretty cool to play Thirst for Discovery. It's just so satisfying to pitch a basic land to it. Like, I just love that. You know, instant speed divination is just pretty dope. Or just card selection, right? If you don't have a basic, it's just a 3-mana cantrip where you draw 3 and you pick one of those, or discard something else that was in your hand. You don't go up cards, but you don't go down cards. Yeah. You could tweak some of these numbers too. Like, I don't know, bring the ending is good if I could get poison faster. But I couldn't, so there was sometimes it just felt bad, but it was still, I'd say, better than like Censor and Disruption. Just at the 2 on the taxed is pretty reasonable. Like, you can fairly reasonably counter everything until late game with a 2 tax, not necessarily a 1 tax on a soft counter. The change the equations are wishy-washy. They do stop basically everything ever, in turns 1 and 2, obviously. Well, literally. And then from then on, you're just kind of hoping they're either red-white prowess, because then you can continue to counter the white spells, or they're just green, or red. I constantly forget this can actually counter red spells. I keep forgetting this can counter a Fable the Mirror Breaker. I always forget it says red on it because I'm so used to just playing against the sweaty mono green decks, but obviously it hits that as well. But yeah, I liked it, and I will tweak it some more for sure. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching and dealing with me complaining about 1-drops.